Hey guys, it's Michelle Taylor Willis, and thanks again for tuning in to According. Hey guys, it's Michelle Taylor. It's Michelle Taylor Willis back at you, and you're watching According to Michelle. In the hustle of life, sometimes we forget what's important. Sometimes we need to think like children. Yes, business is important, but it's connection that builds a community. This is the spirit of the city of South Fulton. More lives here. Hey guys, and welcome to another According to Michelle with your favorite host, Michelle Taylor Willis. I'm really excited to be here today on set, at our new set here at Studio House Atlanta, and my dear friend, Sonia Booker, who sooner or later is gonna make her way into one of these chairs at some point or another. She is a wealth of knowledge as it relates to real estate and women in real estate and development. So make sure you check her out. But if you ever need to record anything, make sure you do it right here at Studio House Atlanta. So today, we're going to learn a little bit about Caleb Vaughn, a New York native, and now he lives in Atlanta, but he's a budding author and has already written more books than you will probably ever write in your lifetime, certainly me for sure. But we wanted to learn a little bit more about Caleb and where he finds all of this creativeness inside of him. And I wanted to make sure I introduced him to you because he is certainly somebody on the move. So without further ado, welcome Caleb to According to Michelle.
Oh, thanks for having me.
If we're on the radio, I do this with everybody. If we were on the radio, then we'd have like, and like all this clap and.
Exactly, we need the whole audience.
The whole audience, but there's no audience because it's COVID. So you can go, thanks COVID. Look at the camera and go, thanks COVID.
Thanks COVID.
No, you have to go, thanks COVID.
Thanks COVID. Thanks COVID.
Thank you. There you go. There you go. That's what we needed. But listen, thanks for coming in today. So Rochester, New York is where you hail from, huh?
Yes. I'm from Rochester, New York. Came down here in 2018. I went to the University of Buffalo where I did my undergrad. So I've been around a different few places, and now I'm not dealing with cold weather when it comes time to winter time.
I don't understand how you people do that up there. And by you people, I mean crazy people who like the cold weather.
Oh, well, see, that's why I had to leave. That's why I had to leave, because I wasn't that crazy to stay.
It's insane up there, the winters in New York.
Yes, it's something that like I never got used to. It just was a matter of the fact that I was, my family was there, did school there, and then as soon as I could get out of there, I was gone.
So speaking of family, you have 5 sisters and brothers, or you're fifth? I mean, you're in 5. Right?
Yes, there's 5 total.
Yeah,
so I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters.
That's crazy. And you are an SOAP.
Yes.
Son of a preacher man.
Yes, that is true.
So not only did you grow up in a house full of kids, you also grew up with 2 very godly parents.
This is true. Yes. It's definitely quite the experience when you have, like you said, 5 kids all in the house and a dog. And then, so my house, there's never a dull moment. There's all this noise and games and just excitement. There's never anything boring going on with my family. And then again, like my parents are both pastors, so that adds another layer of activity.
That's crazy. Like, what was that like growing up in your house between the 2 pastor parents and the 5 kids running around? Where do you fall in the line?
So I'm the oldest.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm the oldest, yes. I'm the oldest, so that by itself sets certain levels of experience and standard by itself.
Right.
My siblings and I were all very, when you have 2 pastor parents, you're in church a lot.
You're in church all day.
You're in church a lot.
That's like 24/7 church.
Yeah, you're in church.
Do you ever leave church?
Even if you leave, you figuring out the next time you're gonna be there. You already know the next time, or you can have Bible study at home, something like that. So we were definitely very active in being in the church or working on something there. So maybe it wasn't actually a service, but we were fixing the roof or shoveling the driveway or something of that nature, helping with building some like chairs or something like that. Right. We were always very active with some aspect of what was going on in the church.
Got you. Yeah. So what do you think, I mean, what was the craziest, or not craziest, but the most interesting thing about growing up with 2 pastor parents? Because usually it's, it's the wife is the mother of the church, I guess, right?
Yeah.
But then, the pastor is really the one that, but you have two parents that were very pastoral. So what was that like? That would be kind of scary, right?
Yeah, it can. Well, it can definitely be kind of intimidating. I definitely.
Because my mom wasn't a pastor, and I was scared of her. So I'm still scared of my mom. By the way, Mom, I'm still very much scared of you, and I will never curse around you. I promise. But like, I couldn't imagine.
It definitely can be intimidating. I think that what has helped is that my parents are very. They communicate. They're very open. They keep the lines of communication open. We've definitely had our struggles and challenges.
Like what? Like what were some of the struggles and challenges?
Like most kids going through high school. So you have relationship situations. My sisters wanted to date different boys, and they had. My dad butting up against, just like a lot of other fathers would, and then I had growing up with trying to be a man and having regular arguments with both my parents. There was a time actually when I had my car, my first car, and I had gotten into an engagement with my mom, and she just frustrated me. So I just drove away. Didn't tell her.
What?
I just left.
You drove away from your mom?
That wasn't good when I came.
While she was talking to you?
Oh, no. I didn't do that. But she had finished what she had to say, and then I just left. And my dad wasn't there. It was my mom was just there, so he had came back, and they were calling me and everything. I was just so mad. I didn't know what to do. So
you shouldn't have gone back home. I can tell you that right now. That was the worst place for you to go.
Yeah.
You should have gone to the real church and stayed there and prayed for forgiveness, because going back to your house, are you crazy?
I'm seeing the whole scene in my head as we're talking about it right now. That was.
What happened when you went back home?
Well, fortunately for me, I was 17, so they weren't whooping me at that time. They had given that up.
Okay.
I think if I was young enough to get a whooping, it would have been bad.
So they gave it up.
I
gave it up about 16. I remember one time when I spanked my 16-year-old. Well, I tried to.
You tried. It's exactly I think that's what it was. I think that's what it was with my dad. I got to a point where he just realized it was just too much.
Right.
He's like, all right, it doesn't work. It's hurting me. I'm done.
Right.
And I'm getting almost your size. I'm bigger than my dad is now, but our relationship has matured.
Sure.
It's matured to a point where we converse through, and now I'm 28, and so we're now just at a relationship stage where my parents are advisors, not so much trying to tell me what to do and what not to do.
More is kind of directing.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because one of the books that you have that I found very interesting, Black Father, Black Son, your father actually wrote, he's the last voice we hear before you close the book.
Yes.
And reading that gave me a little bit of insight kind of into your father and into the relationship you have with him. But it sounds like you guys both have quite the reverence for each other.
Yes.
Right? Which is interesting, because that doesn't always happen, right?
Yes, and that was actually kind of the motivation for the book. So I was able to see the relationship that I have with my dad. He didn't his father. He grew up without his father. My grandmother was a single mom.
Got you.
And another writer in the book actually wrote a chapter in the book is my uncle. So my dad's brother. And so the heart behind the book was that I see this relationship that I have with my father, and some of the challenges that we had growing up, and then some of the things that I was able to learn from him. And I wanted to try to tell a story of a gentleman, of a man that was able to learn from a black man that is loving his family, that is strong in his faith, strong in where he works. My dad is a director at his company. He is active in his community. He writes for the local paper, one of the local black papers in Rochester. And so I wanted to be able to show a man that wasn't something nobody could see themselves as. I think when we look at some of our entertainers, that we look at like a Jay-Z or a Barack Obama as men that we can strive to be, but still that might be a lofty goal.
Right.
My dad is a man that walks the streets and he lives in the world, and there's a lot of other black men that are out there like that. And that's what the other authors on the book were. They were supposed to show different places where we have black men. Some are younger, we're talking 27, 28, some are 30 and 40s, that they're talking about their struggles or their experiences, and how do they want their sons to be able to get wisdom out of that.
Got you. Guys, you're watching According to Michelle with Michelle Taylor Willis, and I'm here with Caleb Vaughn, who is a budding author. He's written several books, but we're talking about his book right now, Black Father, Black Son. And I think one of the things that's interesting about the title, when I first saw the title, Caleb, I'm about to call you Cable.
That's my dad calls me.
Your dad calls you Cable?
My dad used to call me Cable TV growing up.
Okay, I gotta ask, why did he call you that?
Because he just wanted to come up with some silly nickname. My dad is really silly.
Is he?
He's really silly. Like, he used to do this African accent when he cut our hair. He called himself the headman, but he's like, I'm the headman. Like, he was really special. Like, so people call me Cable TV. He has a nickname for all my siblings.
Just coming up with stuff.
Yes, he's a very silly person. Like,
got you, Cable TV. So I'm gonna call you Cable TV now.
Okay.
Changed, yeah. And actually, all 4 million people of you can call him Cable TV. So you're welcome, Cable.
I appreciate it.
But I forgot what I was going to ask you now. But when I first looked at the book, I was thinking Black Father, Black Son, that it was about just the relationship between a father and a son, maybe your father and you. But as I read through the book, right, and I saw all of the biblical references, I could see that clearly we might not always be talking about our father, our earthly fathers and the earthly son, right? There's something maybe much more heavenly in this title. How'd you land there?
One of the best things about the relationship I have with my father is I'm able to see how he relates to my mom.
Sure. And they're still married. They've been married 34 years?
They've been married 29 years.
29 years.
29
okay.
years,
Gosh,
yes.
A long time.
Yes, 29 years in a row.
Longer than you've been alive, which I guess kind of makes sense.
Yes.
If we do it right?
Yeah, but that's part of what we even talked about in the book is their relationship. And my dad talks about how it was important to him to be able to show his, to be able to show us the respect that he has for my mom. And so last year, in 2000, at the end of 2019, my mom texted the family group chat and she wanted us to read through Proverbs. And so she does.
Just out of the blue?
It was really out of the blue.
Just like, hey guys, what you doing? Nothing. I just let this do. Okay, hit Proverbs up for me for a minute.
She really was like that. She wanted to go through the whole book. She wanted the whole, each day read a chapter. So,
and how long ago was this?
This was December 2019.
So this is well after everybody's out of the house.
There's one of my siblings still in the house. So I have a sister in Norfolk, Virginia, another sister's in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I have a brother who's a senior in college. He goes to school in Tennessee, Nashville.
Got you, okay. So this, friends, is what it's like when you grow up with two pastoral parents, because they hit you up after you leave home and you're grown and you got like your own bills and everything, and they're like, hey, let's hit that. Let's get on Proverbs for a minute. See where that lands us.
Yes, that's literally what happens sometimes. My mom will, that's my mom. That is my mom. She'll get these.
But something must hit her, right? She probably, I think parents on their own have these feelings about their kids, right? But certainly if she's a little more connected than some of us might be, something probably told her, like, they need this. They need these words right now.
Yeah, I think it was good for her too, as well. Like, she was able to interact with us throughout the journey, I guess, if you will, going through Proverbs. Because with all of us leaving, my mom's like, oh, my kid's everywhere. So she was able to kind of have like this Bible study with us, if you will, through that time. And so I got inspired from, in Proverbs 1:8, it says, heed your father's wisdom. And so that kind of sets the tone for the book,
right?
For the whole book of Proverbs, where it's like just giving wisdom, almost like giving wisdom to a son. And so that was cross-sectioned with some things I was seeing in like the world, where I heard some statistic about how so many young black men are growing up without their fathers.
Yeah.
And so I was like, what if there was a place where there are strong black men that have something to say to fatherless boys, their own sons, their sons to come? If they took their place and they would offer wisdom to their sons, what could that look like? And so that's where this kind of this sparked, and I started writing the book. Actually, I sent out the emails to all the gentlemen like January 4th, and so we began putting it together.
Wow, January 4th of this year.
Of 2020, January 4th,
Gotcha.
2020.
So look at the camera and go, thanks, COVID. That's a good thanks. Like, thanks, smile. Thanks, COVID.
Thanks, COVID.
Because, I mean, so many things have come out of this year, right?
Yes.
I mean, and so we've had some negative things, certainly, but you've been able to publish another book.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I think that's even. I think this actually is a thanks COVID because if I had so many distractions and places to go,
right?
I probably would still be writing the book now.
That's right.
Because I wouldn't.
That's
have,
right.
I would. Now, granted, I didn't write the entire book. I wrote probably 70% of the book. But
and you had a good compilation of with everybody kind of,
Yeah. So. But I think for all of us that they wrote their chapters, they, everybody had more time to focus on putting the book together.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. And I know so many people who wrote books over COVID, and some of them got them published, some of them didn't, right? But I think that's the time that, it's been a blessing to a lot of people to be able to just kind of have a time to recenter, refocus, figure out exactly what it is they want to do. Are we on the path that we feel like we should have been? I mean, so many pivots have happened as a result of COVID. Some of them, weren't planned, clearly, and some of them were out of necessity. Like, people had to do something different to pay bills, to feed kids, to do it all of these
absolutely.
things. But I mean, who knows? Because I think, like you said, you've written 5 books now, right?
This is the fourth book.
This is the 4th one.
Mm-hmm.
So talk to me about Unicorn on a
soapbox.
Soapbox. So I have to ask you, soap, son of a preacher man, is that the soap in Soapbox?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep,
all right.
Yep.
So talk to us about that.
So the book Unicorn on the Soapbox. My nickname growing up, not growing up, but
Cable TV.
That was one of them. I have a lot of nicknames depending on who you're talking to. But the biggest one that I've had is Soap, and people started calling me that in high school. And I had a radio show in college called The Soapbox, and played different music and throughout. And so that when I was thinking about the title for the book, it kind of just worked together. And the reason why it's called Unicorn on a Soapbox is that I believe that the experiences that I have had in relationships have been very unique to me. Like, there are people when they hear about things that I've experienced, they're like, there's nobody else that has had your experience or is like you.
Right.
And so I wanted to be able to talk about relationships in a way that people hadn't heard, or maybe there's someone out there that they may feel like they're the only one that's experiencing these things. But then also offer some type of some type of hope or some type of motivation, encouragement for where they're going, where their relationship lies. I don't want to just talk about all the problems and then leave them there. I want to be able to offer some type of solutions or even just ideas to use as they move forward.
Right, and I know kind of one of your things is talking about dating and being single and being a Christian single guy. Period, but certainly in Atlanta. I mean, most people would say, you got your pick of the litter here. I mean, like, there's not a better place for you to be if you're a black man looking for a beautiful black woman. They're all around.
This is very true. This is very true. Living here is very different than living, before I came down from New York, I was in Buffalo, New York.
Gotcha. You like that upstate New York thing, huh?
I had to get out of there, trust me. I got out there. College was a great experience, but I just can't do the cold.
I don't know how you,
I cannot do the cold. It's not for me. But it's so different down here, like you mentioned, like the beautiful black women that are here. Not to say there aren't beautiful black women in Buffalo and in Rochester, but you almost have to you almost have to dodge people. There's so many here, like it's just like everywhere you turn or everywhere you go, it's kind of like you have to really understand what you're actually looking for because
you can get distracted very easily.
You get distracted very easily. So you have to be very sure and confident of what it is that your values are, or what you're looking for in a relationship or in a spouse.
Right. Yeah. Because Atlanta is. But conversely, I tell all the single women I know, like, don't come to Atlanta. Like, if you're trying to find like your husband, this is not the place you want to go.
The thing is, some of my sisters have seen like some of my friends and stuff, and they're like, oh, I want to come down there. I'm like, I don't think so. That's probably not going to work for you.
I don't know if you want to. I don't know.
I don't think that's a good idea. Stay where you're at.
Stay where you are, yeah. Guys, you're watching According to Michelle with Michelle Taylor Willis here on the AIB network, and it's game time. Can I get some music, please, so I don't have to like make my own music? Okay, so here's the game. The game is name that verse. So since you grew up in a house with two pastors, not four. Probably felt like four though, sometimes, right? Okay, so I'm gonna give you a Bible verse, and you are gonna tell me what the verse is, like what book. You can tell me the book. If you tell me the book and the chapter, done. But if you just, you can give me the book.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna do what I can.
All right.
Do what I can.
This is a layup for you.
Okay.
Raise your child in the way he should go, and he shall not depart.
Raise your child in the way that she should go.
Oh my gosh, just such a layup for you.
In Proverbs.
Okay, yeah, okay. I was like, you shouldn't have to think about this. You just did Bible study with your mom last year on the whole book of Proverbs. Okay, very good. It's Proverbs. Do you know which one?
I don't know the chapter.
Okay, I don't either, so you're good. Okay, but since we're on Proverbs, how many Proverbs are there?
There are 31. There are 31 chapters in Proverbs.
That's funny, yeah, I always remember because there's enough for every day of the month, depending on the month, of course, but okay. I have another one for you. A man that finds a wife has found a good thing. Let me say that to camera. A man that finds a wife has found a good thing.
That is also in Proverbs as well.
Is it? Oh, okay. I didn't know that. All right. Are we sure? Can we fact check him? Can we make sure that's in Proverbs? Are you sure that's in Proverbs?
Proverbs 31.
Oh, that's the 31st proverb? Save the best for last. Okay, I get it. Okay, I'm moving out of the book of Proverbs, by the way. It's like, oh, Michelle only knows Proverbs. That's the best. I've read Proverbs all the time.
That's a wonderful book.
That's life lessons, right?
If you lived off of Proverbs,
you should be good,
It's
right?
a life-changing book.
Okay. Hell had no fury like a woman scorned.
I don't know if it's in the Bible.
It's not in the Bible. I was just that's just something that somebody said. But I just wanted to see.
I was searching in my head. I was like, wait.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Okay, that's good. I can do this forever because I know the Bible back and forth, but I won't bore our readers with that. Not that the Bible's boring. We love the Bible. I'm just saying, I got to get you out of here. Listen, thank you so much, Caleb, for coming by. Let's make sure we get a nice picture of your book here. Black Father, Black Son by Caleb Vaughn, and you can catch this on Amazon. It's $20, I believe, right? On Amazon?
Yep.
Awesome. Well, good luck. I hope that this helps you, and we definitely help get the word out about what you're doing, but I think it's great. I love writing and authorship and entrepreneurship and all of those things. So best of luck to you. Thank you so much for coming on. You want to tell everybody how they can find you?
So I'm on Instagram, Twitter, DJSoap92, and I'm on Facebook, Caleb Vaughn, and then the book again is on Amazon, along with the other books that I've written, Unicorn on a Soapbox, Quarter Life Conversation, and Face of the Future. So you can find them all there, and also you can DM me if you want to get a book. I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Awesome, no problem. All right, guys, stay tuned as we continue According to Michelle. Let's see who's next. In the hustle of life, sometimes we forget what's important. Sometimes we need to think like children. Yes, business is important, but it's connection that builds a community. This is the spirit of the city of South Colton. More lives here. We're here on location at Creative Mischief, and I'm here with one of my new favorite people. He wasn't my favorite people about 30 minutes ago, but now he's one of my new favorite people. This is Chris Sizemore, guys. He's the co-founder and CEO of Creative Mischief, a full-service Atlanta-based marketing firm. So welcome to According to Michelle. You should be saying welcome to me because I'm like coming.
Well, I'm just glad that I passed that 30-minute test and now I'm one of your favorite people.
You're absolutely right. Everybody doesn't pass the test.
Good. I'm glad I passed that test.
You did. I mean, for now. It depends.
For now.
Let's see how the interview goes, and then
We'll see.
maybe like you can go from, because you're in like the circle.
Mm-hmm.
But you're like kind of on the outer ring of it, so
So
we
we
have
need
to
to
like.
break through that barrier
That's
and move
exactly
into
right,
it.
and we'll see what happens. Like, you know, it's kind of like a Venn diagram.
We'll get through it.
You think we can do it?
We'll get through it.
So listen, I've been doing a little bit of checking on you, and I think one of the really interesting things that I'm learning as I'm learning about you is that you have a very strong sense and connection to community, especially when it comes to kids.
Absolutely.
And so I'm wondering where that stems from.
I think it just stems from one, I had great parents, but the innocence in our kids that we have. I have 3 kids. I have a 21-year-old son who's in the military, 11-year-old daughter, and an 8-year-old son. And they are our future. And they have brilliant minds and brilliant ideas. And we need to be there to help cultivate them, to be their strong arm, but also be their friend at the same time. And I feel a lot of kids are just not given that chance. Their voice is not given that chance. And I believe it is my responsibility to be an ear and allow those voices to be heard.
Right.
Even if I haven't met a kid, I will still fight for that kid as I would fight for my own kids.
Wow. So it's interesting because, right, you were one of those kids that almost didn't have a chance, right? I mean, your
Yeah.
story itself is kind of
It-
interesting.
it
And that's what I was
is.
wondering, like, you know, I mean, certainly that's got to play into it, right?
It does. I mean, I'm lucky. My birth mom was 13 when she had me. I was adopted by 2 amazing parents that same day. I was born, I was cleaned up, and I was adopted. She didn't have to make that chance. Talk about a strong young girl, but also her strong parents who guided her through that to make the decision to go through with the pregnancy. And I wouldn't be here without that strong will and that decision. And I think that has played probably a lot in how I see kids just need a chance.
What do you think is missing right now? Like, if you could wave a magic wand and say, if we could do this, this would solve our problems when it comes to our kids.
Oh man, that would have to be a big wand. I think first we really need to understand that not all of our kids are the same. We have a hard time as a population to understand that our kids are different. We may live on the same street, but we're completely different. Our opinions are based on our experiences in life. I think the first thing we need to do as parents is listen. Like, stop talking, listen to our kids, and understand that the issues that we're having today, a lot of stuff our kids are having, are products of what we have done by not listening. So I think actually taking the time to listen to our kids and encourage them to follow their passion. So many times we focus our kids on a certain job, but if we just focus on job training for our kids or a future for our job, we're not creating careers. And careers can be across many things. So my daughter, for example, is amazingly creative. And so
I wonder where she gets that from.
I don't know. But she loves to make things and create things. She started a thing called Green Girls, which actually started with her brother who loves to recycle. And she's like, well, I can make products out of this, or I can clean up the world to do this. And so we actually made her a website for Green Girls, and and things like that.
Yeah, you feel it. That's great.
You feel it. I think as parents, we need to accept our kids' passions and encourage those passions. And help guide them. That is our job. Our kids are the heroes, and we are their guides. And I think if we put that, the parents aren't the heroes. We are here to be their guides in life.
Right, absolutely. And I think one of the interesting things you say is listen, right? And then if we're listening, they'll tell us exactly what they want to do, right? What their passion is. And then we have the opportunity to pour into that and then direct that passion.
Absolutely. It's listening to them whether we understand it or not, because they're thinking differently, they're processing different than us, but just listen to them and try to help guide them on that process.
Right. So you're a Georgia boy.
I am a Georgia boy.
I mean, and so you never left.
I left just for a brief period doing some traveling. We always grew up traveling, but I took basically a sales job for a little bit, but it was a couple weeks, but I was traveling back and forth to here. But born and raised Georgia, just south of the city of Atlanta.
And so when you talk about passion, what was your passion when you were a child, and do you feel like you've realized it as an adult?
So there were two passions that I had growing up. My poppy, who's still alive, who's 94, my dad, and my uncles, if we wanted something, we created it. We built it, whether it was electrical, built additions to the house, tree houses, it didn't matter, we built it. So that was a passion, that create things with your hands. Creating doesn't just mean I'm gonna make a pretty picture, but I'm gonna make something, I'm gonna create something. So that's always been a passion. But I wanted to be in the military. Like, my big passion was I wanted to be in the military. I wanted to learn Farsi and go into the special forces, and that was a passion of mine. And I ended up, life changed, and ended up with my oldest son, who is now 21, and it was more important to have a job where I could support him than follow certain passions. So I put those things on hold.
Well, it's not too late to go in the military. They might have like a draft here.
It's not too late, but I mean, I wouldn't be able to do things that I would want to do. But I think I'm still achieving my passions. My son's in there, and that was of his own thing. I don't believe on pushing your kids to relive your childhood.
Right.
I played every sport you could think of year round. My kids, I don't encourage them to play sports. I'm like, if you have an interest, let's do it. My youngest loves soccer. He plays soccer. My daughter's like, I want to try things. She's tried soccer. She tried gymnastics, hip hop dance, karate, and now she wants to play flag football. And so it's like, follow your passions, follow where that goes. And I think we need to encourage that with our kids.
So it's funny you mentioned that. I mean, and I talk about this a lot on the show and on my radio show as well, is that I feel like, we miss so much on this earth doing what we think we're supposed to be doing, what we're told we're supposed to be doing, as opposed to what we know that we're supposed to be doing, right? I mean, like, there is such a thing as gut and intuition and passion and purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so many times we don't listen to that. We go after what we think happiness looks like.
Right.
And for a long time, I did that. And my definition of success was different in life. I wanted to make a certain amount of money, I wanted to drive a certain this, I wanted to live in a certain house.
I want to wear cool jackets with pocket squares.
Well, that's a vice. I love jackets with pocket squares. But now, to me, is I want to create experience with my kids. I want my kids to see that I actually say I care and I follow through with it, and I do things in the community, not for a reward on the back end, but because it's necessary. There's places in our city, Auburn Avenue South, that have looked the same since 1906, and there's reasons for that.
Right.
So it's just a defining success for yourself and not for other people. And I find that's really hard, because success, sometimes we're in the like generation. We want everybody to like this or like that.
Or like us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the popularity contest. It's middle school all over again. And that's a hard thing to do.
So Creative Mischief, which has now become, I mean, if you think about marketing in Atlanta, you can't help but think about Creative Mischief or seeing your agency somewhere in the fold. How did you end up in this space? Because that is creativity, right?
Yeah.
You're just not with your hands.
Well, truth be told, it was over some rum. So I was in-house at law firms doing some marketing and IT work, and my business partner, Isham Kalasetti, has been in the marketing industry since the early 90s, and we were neighbors. And he had started doing some stuff on the side, and I was helping out with some operational aspects of it, and we just bounced stuff off each other. And we finally said, why not try to do this ourselves together and go with the approach of not selling a specific product, but selling honesty and integrity. That even if a client has an X dollar amount, it's what's good for the business. Like, not so much what's good for our bank account, but what's good for the business.
Right.
Because that's going to be longevity. We've passed 12 years, have grown 100% by word of mouth from our clients. And August 1, 2008 was day one when we formed Creative Mischief. But it started over a conversation with some rum and Coke.
Rum and Coke. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of rum. I'm not a big Coke person. I don't like,
Well, yeah, and now as age change, you really can't drink the same stuff anymore.
You can't. But rum you can always drink.
Rum you can always drink, yes.
You can always do that.
Yeah.
So jumping out into, that's the risk, right? And so a lot of people watch this show who are entrepreneurial in spirit, or who have great cushy jobs and who want to be entrepreneurs. What was the toughest thing about kind of taking that leap?
Afraid to fail my family and afraid to fail the people that we were bringing into the fold. We started off with through a relationship I had, landed a great healthcare client. And the one thing about being an entrepreneur and starting out, you think things are going to be one way and they're completely different every 2 hours.
Yeah.
I've learned more, I've done more, I've worked longer hours. I'll say one negative, I'm never turned off. So I'm always on my phone trying to keep it going, because I still feel like if I fail, that it's not me failing. I've let the Creative Mischief family down, our team that works with us down, I've let our clients down. And it's just even more knowing I have to look at my kids and say, I've let you down.
Right.
Or my ex-wife, I let you down. Because at the time, she gave me the confidence to say, you're a fixer. No matter what it is, you can just figure stuff out.
Once again, the ladies have it.
They do, and she's like, and she said, she gave me the confidence. She goes, I trust you. Go for it. And so I did.
If you hadn't had her there, do you think you would have done it?
Absolutely not.
Wow.
I will say this, even though we are recently divorced, she's still one of the greatest influences that has been on my life. She gave me the confidence in myself to actually start speaking the things that I would say privately and doing the things that I was talking about. So.
Wow. It never hurts to have a champion, right?
Never hurts. We all need a champion.
Yeah, we do. Guys, I'm Michelle Taylor Willis. We're here on location at Creative Mischief, and I'm with Chris Sizemore, who owns, or one of the owners, I should say, co-founder and CEO of Creative Mischief, a marketing agency here in Atlanta. And we're talking a little bit about passion and business and entrepreneurship and all of those wonderful things that he stands for. But one of the things I want to ask you about is, when I search your name, everything that comes up, or not everything, but a lot of things that come up are related to the United Way.
Yeah.
So I know, if I'm not mistaken, please correct me if I'm wrong, that you got started with United Way. They were a client of yours, right? And you started doing some work for them.
Yeah. So I think with most people, like, I did some stuff with them in school. I did some stuff previously at another job before I founded Creative Mischief. But I think we all knew United Way from a distance, right? And did not understand. And so they asked us to come in, and we started helping out around 2010, 2011, and really diving in and seeing what they were doing for our communities, seeing the hurdles that they faced in the communities, not so much from those in the communities, but the pressures from outside the communities, the policies inside, from down at the capital to regional, that impact those that they were trying to serve and help. Seeing the pressures of, we want to raise the child well-being of our kids and our community, but we can't do it alone. A lot of times society wants to put it on the school system to fix socioeconomic issues, but it's the community at whole. We have to lift entire communities up. There needs to be food in the communities. We need to have not livable wages, which, it's a thing for me when I see, hey, we've gave somebody job training and now they got a livable wage. If they're in poverty and they now have a livable wage, they're now able to manage poverty.
Right.
If we really want to help move somebody out of poverty, like, let's flip the system. Like, let's completely change it. Let's say I'll fund somebody's job for an entire year. They go work at one of these great tech companies in town while they get training for a year. And if they're making $65,000 more, that's generational.
Right.
And United Way, to me, is the organization with the resources, the connections, and the knowledge and know-how and the leadership that can do those things. But as a community, we got to realize it's not going to take 1 year or 2 years.
Right.
Like, we have to focus on generational change, like a long-term philanthropy, not marketing philanthropy. And I think United Way is the organization that does that. And that's why I started on the YPL board, moved up to the big board, the executive committee, chaired public policy. because they are the organization I wholeheartedly believe can do that in the city.
So what's the difference in your mind between generational and marketing legacy, right? You say it's not, instead of we need to be focusing on generational. So to me, I interpret that as, let's actually start doing things and stop talking about it.
So I think we do a lot of things. I think the amount of money that this community, this city gives, why do we still have the issues that we have?
Right.
Like, you go back to the 1906 race riots and see that divide. A lot of those same things are still in place, Auburn Avenue South. Why is that? How much money we give?
Right.
And a lot of times as we're spreading the money like this, maybe concentrate it a little bit more. Like, we're doing a lot on the west side, but we're also having people move out because they can't afford the taxes. So generational change means looking at the tax code. You know, it's great that you give them a tax break for a few years through a homestead exemption, but if grandma passes away, that taxes gets passed on. They can't afford that. So what do we do to keep people in the communities? So generational means, to me, is we are solving for problems 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road. We need to focus on that. It's not about saying, hey, we donated
Here's a
this.
check. Here's a check. Yeah.
Pat on our back, and that's defining culture that we gave this much money back. I'd rather give back, not have my logo attached to anything, but in 20 years somebody say, damn, like, this was all set in place and this is what happened.
Right.
Like, we have to talk about that. At United Way, we're talking about how, you know, United Way's, what they're doing, how much more we can push into the advocacy and policy arena for what things that need to happen. As a 501c3, you have to be very careful about what you do, but there's tax codes that hurt our neighbors in the communities that we try to help. The definition of homelessness hurts. The definition of family hurts. So all those things need to be brought together and thought of holistically, and then we can create generational change, meaning your kids and the kids after that are not going to go through the same issues.
Right.
The fact that we're still dealing with this stuff generation after generation after generation.
Yeah, we just put Band-Aids on it, if anything, and we're
It's
still,
fundamental
the wound is
shifts
still
of
there.
way of thinking.
Yeah.
It's fundamentally understanding that I know I'm privileged not by wealth, but because I'm white.
Yeah.
Like, I understand that, and how can I use my voice to talk about some of these issues, to see if we can move some things, but understanding privilege means comfortable. If we want generational change, we have to be okay to be uncomfortable.
Right.
And we got to get to that point or we won't have the generational change we want.
So I've heard you say that you felt like we could fix most of our problems within a 2-year period if we just used our resources accurately. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think if we came together and we focused resources in a specific area of town and said, in 2 years we're fundamentally going to change the way the system looks, how these people, our neighbors, our brothers and sisters, feel, then we can make that change in 2 years. We're not going to see the whole generational thing, but the generational foundation of what needs to change will change. Because we can beautify a community all we want. We can put as much resources into it. But if somebody does not see themselves in a different light, does not see that they have a future, then we're not creating generational change. So we got to help. We got to help parents who want to get a better want to get an education. We got to help with transportation. We got to help with renter's assistance. We have to help with career training. You know, for example, let's bring these resources together, the United Ways, the blanks, everybody else, and say, look, here's the folks in this area. They're making $30,000 a year on average. Let's guarantee them, we'll pay for it. We'll split it $65,000 a year. We're going to pay your salary. We're going to use our contacts to get you a job at some of these big companies downtown. We're going to pay for them to train you for the first year. After that, you have a full-time job that company hasn't paid for. It starts at home. It starts boots on the ground in the community.
That's better than any kind of stimulus check you could ever get.
Those are temporary fixes.
Absolutely.
You know? It's different thinking. It's a different way to do philanthropy, but I absolutely believe we can do it. And I believe in 2 years we could fundamentally change how this city looks.
Wow. I'm with you. Somebody actually described, I didn't tell you this, but when I asked around about you, right? And someone actually said, quote unquote, Chris is woke. You know what woke means, right? Yeah. They were like, he's more woke than some black people. And now I can kind of, as I'm listening to you and really being enveloped into your story and your thought processes, I can see why they would say that. Guys, it's Michelle Taylor Willis. We're here on location at Creative Mischief at the According to Michelle show, and I'm with Chris Sizemore, who is a co-founder of Creative Mischief, but also is a very proud community partner here in Atlanta. He sits on the United Way board. He sits on the board of the Georgia Chamber of Commerce. He is so deeply embedded in everything, or a lot of things in Atlanta. So
Atlanta's home, and you've got to take care of your home, and that means not just your address, your zip code, but it's your home is the community.
Absolutely. And community, I mean, when I listen to you and talk to you and read up about you, like if you look up Chris Sizemore in the dictionary, if you look up community in the dictionary, there should be like a picture of you, like I'm community.
I'd like that, maybe a better picture than my old picture. You know.
Yeah, that Creative Mischief.
Well,
that site is like 100 years old.
It is. You know, we always.
You don't even look the same anymore.
I don't. I've lost a little bit of weight. That's what kids and virtual learning will do to you.
What's that been like for you?
Let's all hold hands and pray together real quick. It has been tough. I am privileged because I have the flexibility to work with my kids and sit with them. There's a lot of families who don't have that, who have to work, who are struggling. Kids with learning disabilities. I have a learning disability. My daughter has a learning disability. Those kids, I mean, our gap in proficiency has already been bad. Education gap. A kid in poverty knows 4,500 less words the first day of kindergarten. This is only going to grow.
Right.
So I complain, but I know I am privileged. But somebody once told me, parents are now teachers, but teachers are now caregivers as well. My birth mom is actually a teacher down in Carrollton.
Do you see her often? Talk to her?
We talk. I don't see each other as much as like maybe once a quarter, but we talk often. So.
You're saying she's an educator?
She is an educator.
And so, because it's funny, things get passed down through through blood, right? Through DNA. And so even if we're not raised with our parents, our birth parents, we certainly get the DNA, like it or love it, right?
Yeah, it was interesting. There's a lot of things that when I met her that clicked. I'm like, I got that. I'm
thinking of even the education piece and because you are a teacher, right? In certain ways, you really are. You're a teacher, you're a leader, and you're soft-spoken, but you have a strong voice. And I imagine that, as you're saying that your birth mom is an educator, I imagine that some of that has come from her.
I would definitely see that. And then from my mom and dad, my mom's just don't give up, keep going. My dad, the creativity, there's not a thing that he could not build. He was a computer engineer for Bell South. Anybody from Atlanta knows Bell South.
Oh, yeah.
But there's nothing that he couldn't look at and put together, build. When I'm building something or renovating something, give him a call, talk to him over the phone, and that's kind of our way of bonding. So
last question, well, almost last question, and I wrote it up on the board. When I was looking you up, I noticed that one of your Why Wednesdays, and for those of you who don't know, United Way had a campaign a couple years ago. It was like Why United, and they did this video series, Why Wednesday, and they would ask people who volunteered with the United Way why they volunteered with the United Way. And you used a Garth Brooks quote as you began to answer your question for Why United Way, right? And life is not tried, it's merely survived. What does that mean?
So for me, the full thing from his song, and I think music is a celebration of our life. In any given moment, we can do different things. When I was growing up in elementary school, it was all country. All high school, I went to every single Outkast concert in the state of Georgia that you could go to. It's still my go-to if it's a long drive. But Garth has this song, and he says, life is not tried, it's merely survived if you're standing outside the fire. So what that means to me is, we have this bowl right here. It is much easier to be this rock on the outside and throw stuff in and say negative things. But you should do this, you should change something else, why aren't you doing it this way?
Right.
Or you can choose to jump inside that fire and push back the flames that are hurting our communities, our neighbors, our brothers, our sisters, aunts, uncles, moms, and dads. That's United Way. To me, United Way is our community firefighter that's pushing back those flames. And I made the choice, and it's what I think of myself. Like, do I want to complain about something, or do I want to do something?
Right.
If you want to complain and not do anything, then just be static on the airway and go over here and leave me alone.
Right.
But if you actually want to be a part of the conversation, come in here and let's talk about it. And I made that choice to do that. And even when you're inside there pushing back those flames, doesn't mean we're always going to agree.
Right.
We're all going to have the same North Star that we want. But our opinions are based on our experiences in life. And we have to quit trying to win the debate in life and realize that I can validate your experiences even though I may not be able to relate to them.
Right.
We can do that. We can actually extinguish those flames.
So speaking of experiences, and that was great, by the way, but speaking of experiences, a little birdie told me you were dancing a few months ago, like right before we went to quarantine. You were like Marietta Dancing with the Stars or something like that?
Marietta Dancing with the Stars. It was fantastic. Didn't win, but that's okay, you know. But we dressed in all red Adidas track shoes.
You were like Run DMC.
We were
down.
Run DMC. We did a 90s mashup with Mace and P. Diddy to Gin and Juice and ended up with some Bombs Over Baghdad. So it was fun. My kids were there. My mom came. My sister came. They got to experience. So it was a great time. It raises money for that dance studio.
I was going to say, this had to be, knowing you, this had to be for a cause.
Yeah, it helps raise money and helps pay tuition for kids who cannot normally afford to do dance, to go do it. And plus I got to bring my daughter to dance class all the time.
And she's dancing now. I mean, she must get that
she
gene
picks it
from
up.
you.
She picks it up more than me. She's trying to convince me that I should start a TikTok page for me and her to do dances. I have not.
You got to do it. The world needs to see it.
I have not agreed to that, but I told her, you know, maybe we can make some videos every now and then and just put them out.
The world needs to see this side of you.
She'll destroy me. She's got skills.
That'd be great.
She's got skills.
That would be great. We want to see you be destroyed.
I got real skills, especially if I'm driving, like from the waist up.
Oh, you're getting it in.
I can groove it like nobody.
And you're singing as well, right? The song
I'm singing.
sounds
The
great.
volume's up really loud because you don't want to hear me sing.
We don't want to hear you sing.
But I'm getting it.
Well, the jury's out as to whether or not we want to see you dance.
Well, you know, it depends. Some days it's a good day, some days not so much.
Not so good. Well, that's life, right?
That's life.
So if you've been watching my shows, and I'm hoping that you have, just if you haven't, just lie and say, yes, Michelle, I've seen all of them. Go ahead.
Every single one of them.
There you go. You're very good at what you do. So I play a game at the end of every show with my guest. And so since you are a lover of music, and you're a lover of hip hop, 90s hip hop to be exact, we're going to play a game with Mr. Sizemore, and it's called Name That Song.
Uh-oh.
I'm very clever with the names. I mean, like, I sit and ruminate long and hard on these things, and I come up with the most cleverest of names, don't I? Actually, Sierra, our media apprentice, comes up with all the games. I just come up with the clever names. So, all right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you lyrics to a song, and then you have to tell me the name of the song. Okay?
Do I get like an A, B, C choice?
No, but they're going to be layups. If you are who you say you are, you will be able to
Put me
do
on the
this.
spot.
You
You
can
know,
do
I've
it.
been digital learning all day with my daughter.
Hey, listen, no excuses, friend.
Oh, no, there's always an excuse.
No excuses. Okay, so you
That's
ready?
what my kids say.
There's always an excuse.
Always an excuse.
All right, you ready?
I guess so.
Okay. Heartthrob never, black and ugly as ever.
Actually, can.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
Oh my gosh. Okay, let me give you another one. Ready?
I guess. Not really.
Okay, how about
Tootsie
her
Roll.
bikini, small, heels, tall. She said she liked the ocean.
She said she liked the ocean.
Oh my gosh.
I'm telling
taking your
You can take the
woke.
card.
I'm taking the woke card completely.
I'm telling you. I have.
No idea. Okay, I'm gonna give you one more. If you don't know this one, I'm not airing this show.
Uh-oh.
So you better get this right. Okay. This is a layup for you.
Tootsie Roll. 95 South.
Okay, you got to get this one. Okay, you ready? Well, I got me some Seagram's gin. Everybody want a cup, but they ain't pitched in.
Gin and juice?
Okay, finally. I said it was a layup. I'm like, you just danced to this. If you don't get this one right,
I know.
it's over.
That was-
Let me tell you what the first one was Biggie.
Yeah,
One More Chance. Right? Do you know that song?
I do. You know.
You better not say you love Biggie and you didn't get that.
I tell you, one of my favorite songs is, do you remember when Biggie and Bone did a collaboration?
No, I don't.
What?
Maybe I do.
I'm taking your woke card.
I never said I was woke.
I mean,
I didn't, but I don't know the song. Maybe if I hear it, I would
hear
know
it?
it.
Okay.
Okay, here's the second song you missed. LL Cool J. God, what's the name of the song? It's Has She Like the Ocean? Going Back to Cali.
Yeah.
You know that song. Remember her bikini, small, heels, tall. She said
See,
she
now when
liked
you say it like
the ocean.
When you say it like,
no.
yeah, you did the whole LL thing.
I know, but I couldn't get. I mean, like you said, like, oh yeah, 90s hip hop, and I'm great.
I'm not an encyclopedia, but
gosh.
I know now I'm gonna have to just play it all.
There you go. And then next time you're driving down your car, we want to hear Biggie, we want to hear LL,
The next time we get together, I'm gonna bring you my old CD case.
and that has all the songs in it that you don't know.
Oh, I know a good bit of them, but there's a lot of them when you all of a sudden you put it in and they just come back to
They
you.
just- right,
they
yeah.
start coming back. Yeah.
Well, as long as we can see you in the red and white Adidas
I'll wear my tracksuit
and the
shell
classic
toes.
shell toes, and
Yeah,
that's
the
what we
white
want
shell
to see.
toes. I'll do it.
That's what we want to see.
I thought about wearing it for this, but
That would have been dope. You could have like matched me in my Stan Smiths.
I know
'Cause I'm
you
wearing
didn't. You
Adidas.
didn't respond back to me. I was like, hey, what are you wearing? Can we make sure we're matching?
Oh, did you send that?
No.
Okay. Jeez, I was about to feel bad about it. Listen, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Can we come back anytime we want?
Anytime. Always open door.
Awesome. All right. Well, tell people how they can find you and how they can do business with you.
You can always reach us at creative-mischief.com, or my email address is chris@creative-mischief.com. My cell phone number is out there as well, so you can reach me anytime, anywhere. My phone is always on.
And what if someone wants to get affiliated with United Way?
If they want to get affiliated with United Way, you can absolutely reach out to me. You tell me what your interests are, your passions are, and I will make a personal introduction with a representative at United Way to help best you get there.
Wow. Geez, talk about like A1 service. It doesn't get better than that. And I mean, he's very understated, but when I tell you guys, this guy is definitely the bomb. He is absolutely the bomb. Guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of According to Michelle. As always, you can find me every Wednesday right here on the AIB network at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you don't have Comcast or AT&T, that's fine. You can look us up at AIBTV.com and we will be here. But until next time, talk soon.